So you may have seen me build the steam train as well as the carriages, and through those videos I was saying how much I need to make some rails. And now I've made the cheapest and easiest modular rail system for use in Dungeons & Dragons and Wargaming. Join me this week as I show you how I built them. I started out by staining a bunch of popsicle sticks. I cut about 100 popsicle sticks to 4 inches long and mixed up a brown wash mixed with a little bit of green just for some extra color. And I just soak the popsicle sticks in that for a few minutes, take them out and wipe them off with a piece of tissue. It's a good idea to wipe along the grain. That way the texture and the color kind of match together. Otherwise you end up with some blotchy places and the paint not sticking properly. And you can see how the color change affects the popsicle sticks. It picks out all of the wooden texture really nicely. And now it's time for the base. The basic structure will be built on top of some double corrugated cardboard here. I'm just using it because it's all I had. Later on we'll rip off the cardboard underneath to make it flat with the table. I cut several pieces as 11 inches by 4 inches, just because that fits well on the cardboard that I had, but you can cut it to any length you want. I then give them all a thick coat of a burnt umber. This will hide any spots missed by the flock later on. For the corners, I mark out a right angle and then lay out my popsicle sticks to mimic the turn, the curve that will come. And then I just draw a line around it to give me the shape of the cardboard that I'll need for the corners. When they're dry, I line them up with my cutting mat and glue every inch, and that's where I'll put my popsicle sticks. I line them up roughly just before the inch mark, so that way it's consistent on all of them. On the circular pieces, I do it roughly by eye, and then I place all of the pieces in between a couple of books, that way they dry nice and flat. Now for the rails, I cut a bunch of cardstock pieces at 1 centimeter wide, and these are roughly 11 inches or so long. I do cut some of them to size, but I end up just leaving them oversized and painting them. And to paint these, I just give them a spray with a silver spray paint. Once they are all painted, I glue them an inch in from the outside. This means they're 2 inches apart. For the circular pieces, again, it's roughly by eye. I can measure based on my cutting mat where an inch is, and I just put glue on either side. If I was doing this again, I'd probably use super glue on the turning pieces. Because of the bend in the cardboard, it kind of tends to flex away while it's drying, and super glue will bond it much quicker. I then give all of the spots in between all of the wooden planks a nice coat of PVA glue, and then I sprinkle over some sand that I've mixed with burnt umber paint. This is just because I don't have easy access to dirt over here in Western Australia. If you wanted, you could leave it as is after cleaning it up a little bit, but I think I'm going to add some stones as well. Using a watered down brush, I add some more PVA glue on top of all of that dirt, and then I sprinkle over some gardening stones. These are like little stones I got from Bunnings that are meant to be used in pot plants. I got a whole tub of them for real cheap. Once everything else is dry, I then come through and cut off the bottom of the cardboard. This is where it would have been easier to use single corrugated cardboard because it would have been much easier to take off. The reason I used cardboard here instead of something like paper is because paper would warp way too easy. The cardboard has a little bit more rigidity and it won't warp as easily. That way I can make everything on it and then cut the cardboard off and it won't have warped. I could use something like cardstock, but cardstock tends to be a bit too thick to sit flush on the table. It's quite a bit of work to get everything nice and smooth, but once I've done so, I just get some PVA glue and layer it on the back, and then stick it down to a piece of parchment paper. The next day, when it's nice and dry, or at least mostly, I peel them off and cut down the rails to size. And now we're done! Super cheap and really easy modular rail system. And this whole thing with the train is a huge piece on the board. It completely covers my skirmish size game board and is a great centerpiece. I can't wait to use this in the future. Thanks for watching to the end, and I'll see you next week with something different.